And welcome to today's episode of Game Creation. Now, this week we are looking purely at responsiveness, and we're going to use our JRPG project because I want it to be responsive, I want it to work nicely, etc., etc., right? Now, you might be thinking, well, what is responsiveness, right? Now, you imagine that you're spending ages and ages on your beautiful computer game, and you're using a 1080p monitor, which is 1920 by 1080 pixels, and some person comes along with a 4K display, right? And they can't play your game, can they? Because you've designed it for that monitor, and they've got one that's 4 times larger, right? So that's going to be a problem. So what we do is we work with responsiveness to deal with that issue. And responsiveness just means that your game or application can work on any device, on any screen size, including mobile phones, right? So there are multiple approaches, and I'm going to go through an approach a day. I think there's only 3 that I can think of, but I might be wrong. So we're going to do an approach a day, and maybe by Thursday we'll then look at how to improve the chosen one, right? Each one will come with their advantage, and each one will come with their disadvantage. So today's one we're going to focus on is the default. So let's get started. So this is the project that we started a few weeks ago, and if I just run it, it's just a person who's walking around, and I think they get into battles as well, which is cool. But we can see we've got a nice virtual width here, virtual height, and there we go. We attack the slime. Okay, so focusing on this is built for, I can't even remember, is it 480, 640, 480, I believe? 640, 480, right. So it's built for a screen that's 640 pixels wide and 480 pixels high, right? Now, clearly, I'm using a monitor, and in fact, all of you guys will be using a monitor way bigger than that. And the reason I think Clickteam has stuck with this resolution is, first of all, when Clickteam first came out, that was actually quite a big resolution, right? Because you imagine if that's 480, right, p, whatever. Monitors were about 480p, I think, and 720, etc. So that would have filled the screen up a lot more. But actually, it's quite useful to have it smaller, because then you're thinking about responsiveness, and you're thinking not in terms of just releasing a 1080p game and then that's it. So actually, I quite like the fact they've stuck with a smaller resolution to start with to get us thinking about it. Now, if we try and fill up the app or the game on that resolution, you can see what happens is we get this white border around it. Now, that's not ideal at all. So we might want to change that. And the way we change the border is by clicking, well, first of all, on your project, and then this one here, window. And you can change this, and I would change it to black, right? So if we run it now, and we enlarge it, you can see it's got that's less distracting. Now, some horrible emulation jobs on consoles and PC will put a horrible, hideous border around here of game art and stuff that you can't get rid of. And the game art probably looks pretty good, but having to stare at it every time you play the game is not ideal. So you might want to change this to black, because it's going to be a lot nicer, less distracting, okay? Now, it doesn't look ideal, does it? And we've got to see the advantages and disadvantages, okay? So the disadvantages are that you're looking at a tiny thing. Now, this is on a 1080 monitor, right? Can you imagine on a 4K monitor? It would be a tiny little square in the middle of the monitor, okay? So that's the downside. The upside, though, is it's really quick. You don't have to do anything. Every pixel on your screen is represented by a pixel on your finished game, which is brilliant. So every time you're doing pixel art, it will look exactly the same, which is excellent. The game will be easy to test. You'll be able to roll it out quickly, and you can just control the way that everyone plays it. One of the downsides, again, is that if you're playing that on a mobile phone, you've got no guarantee that you've got 640 pixels wide. Like the Samsung Flip, the front panel of the Samsung Flip isn't necessarily 640 pixels wide. I think it's slightly shy of that. So you might need to go even smaller to guarantee that it can be played on all devices, by which time on a 4K display you've had it. So this is really, really good default for Clickteam to have. This is the best default that they've got, but I would massively advise you not to release your app using this. Now, tomorrow we're going to be doing probably the worst solution, and on Wednesday we're going to do the proper solution, the one that almost every game or app I know will use. Okay, so that's the plan for the week. So if you want to find out what the 3 options are, well, we've done the default option today. Then watch throughout this week where we're going to be covering responsiveness using the JRPG thing. Now, this was in response to a comment that was made last week and the week before on can I cover responsiveness. If you've got other suggestions, keep them coming in. There's some really, really great things I've got on my list over here of stuff that you guys want me to cover. And this is hopefully a bit of a community channel, and not just necessarily what I want to cover, because I'm quite open to suggestions and quite open to direction, and that's the kind of fun of this. So keep them coming in. If you like this video, click like. If you want to see more from us, click subscribe, and I'll see you again for the next option on responsiveness. See you then.